Damon Lindelof is back with Watchmen. This is a series that I can honestly say no one asked for, right? No one asked for it. You can tell at this point that no one has asked for the show. The reviews on it from the critics have been good. Fans, at least in this live chat, have been kind of hit or miss. Some like it, some didn't like it, and that's perfectly fine. But it's very interesting to go back into that world and thinking of it being Zack Snyder's vision that they're basing it off of, and not Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' version, which is clearly what it's inspired by. So the story itself picks up. Actually, I should say that it picks up like 30 years after the events of the first film. First, see, exactly, that's where I'm at, right? First film, the first issue, I guess, the graphic novel. It's hard to say. That's how conditioned we are now, I guess, with Marvel movies, to look at this as being a continuation of something along those lines. But it starts off in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921, where you have the city being raided by the KKK, or, well, no, they're clearly the KKK. A young boy gets away. His parents are killed. He ends up having this note with him that says, "You will look over this boy," from his father, who appeared to be military, but we don't have any other information on him. And then, of course, we don't know what happens to him over the span of the next 98 years, because it picks up in 2019, Tulsa, Oklahoma, where a cop who is now masked, because there is a new law that says that all cops have to wear masks in order to protect their identity. But the caveat is that they cannot use weaponry unless they have proper permission from the police station in order to do so. So they can't just pull out their gun all willy-nilly. They have to actually get it released in order to be able to fire it, which I thought was an interesting take on society, right? I mean, obviously, there are going to be some social politics that have been from our age, our era, our timeline, whatever, that are added in. Is it enough to say that the show has gone woke? No, it's just showing us a different take on history. I mean, even, Watchmen itself was a revisionist take on history, an alternative history. That's kind of the whole point, is like it's going to play up certain things, and certain things are going to be more exaggerated than not. But ultimately, I thought that was kind of cool that these cops, they have the anonymity, but they still have to like request they have to put in a lot of requests in order to be able to get their firearms. Part of me was thinking like Judge Dredd, how it's just they have the gun with the different commands on it, but this time around it's the exact opposite. So a cop is gunned down by a member of the 7th Cavalry, which is a white supremacist group that apparently had gone underground 3 years prior, but are now reemerging. We don't know what they're up to. Regina King plays Angela Abar, who is a cop. Again, she is like a detective, or she's just a vigilante. She's working on the force. No one knows who she is because it's illegal to tell anyone that you're a cop. If you work in the police force, no one can know who you are, and that does include your family. And so she gets the notification that the cop went down, that they think it's the seventh Cavalry. She grabs one dude, basically a racist that she figured was already going to be a part of this group. They interrogate the hell out of him in the pod, which is, I'm still trying to figure out the pod. So that's Tim Blake Nelson's character, Looking Glass. And that he is cool. For one, I love Tim Blake Nelson. And I think he kind of brings this like Southern charm to it a little bit. Like he's not necessarily a charming person, but he's just got that approach that I really like. And Looking Glass is a dude who wears a reflective hood, and he goes in this pod, and he asks questions, and they flash images, and that's how he's able to kind of determine whether or not the person is lying or telling the truth. And that's how they figure out that this guy is lying. And then Angela beats the crap out of him, and they discover that everyone from the 7th Cavalry is at a farmhouse, a cattle ranch or whatever. And so they decide to run out there in order to stop them. And these guys catch wind of it. And this is actually a really cool scene. I really, really liked it. So everyone's running up in this cow field, and all the cows are out there, and the cops are hiding behind the cows. The 7th Cavalry catch wind that the cops are there, run out, and jump into a machine gun. They have a mounted machine gun on the back of this truck, and they just eviscerate like all the cows, trying to take out the cops. And it's pretty violent. It's pretty bloody. They end up catching the guy who shot the cop, but he takes a cyanide pill. He kills himself. And they're trying to figure out what exactly everyone is doing, because they were out there just trying to collect watch batteries, old watch batteries, which apparently are no longer in production. So the idea there essentially is that what was surmised, what was hypothesized, was that they're trying to build like a cancer bomb, which is clearly a reference back to at least the Watchmen movie. So you've got that. Like there's little nods here and there. The chief of police ends up getting called out to go and meet with the cop who was shot because he wasn't killed. He actually comes through. He gets surgery. He wakes up, and as he goes out there, somebody puts out spike strips, takes out his tire, and he ends up getting got. They find him, uh, well, strung up on a tree, lynched on a tree. And next to him is Louis Gossett Jr., who is 105 years old, who is the boy from the beginning of the episode. And that's basically about it. I'm maybe going over a couple things there. But the episode was just setting up the world. It was just setting up what was going to happen. It was just setting up like the characters to the best of their abilities, while keeping your story moving relatively forward. So what I really liked about it was I thought the soundtrack was great. I thought the direction was really good. I thought the performances are really good. But a couple little things kind of are a little bit weird. One of them is Jeremy Irons is playing Adrian Veidt. Right, we saw that in the trailer. It's like, oh, he's playing Ozymandias. Okay, well, I wonder what Ozymandias is up to 30 years later. What kind of thing is he getting up to? Well, the thing with that though is I don't think he is alive. To be fair, I don't think he is realistically alive at this point because they said you see a newspaper clipping that says Adrian Veidt officially declared dead, and then when they cut to him, he's at some weird castle somewhere. He's got two servants who kind of like idolize him and adore him. And then he's writing a play about a watchmaker. And he wants the two servants to be the ones to star in it. It's odd. And again, this is just Damon Lindelof from Lost. This is everything that we've learned from all that situation. How he tends to write these mysteries is what the hell in the first episode, but as it progresses, we're going to get more and more and more and more, obviously. What I thought was really funny, what cracked me up the most, though, was when we first meet Angela, she's at her kid's school doing, take a parent to work day or take a parent to school day and doing show and tell. And she's a cook. She's opening up a bakery. That's her cover. And there's a kid there who is, he asks her, oh, did you pay for your bakery with Red for rations? Right, because they talked about reparations have happened. Robert Redford is president, and that's what the kid said, reparations. And then her son, who I believe is adopted, went and beat the crap out of that kid, and that ended up getting him booted out of school. But what was funny was there was a poster on the wall that just said "Anatomy of a Squid." And I bust up laughing at the Anatomy of a Squid sign because I thought that was really funny. I thought that was really great how they were incorporating, the crazier element. I mean, of all the craziness that's in the graphic novel, the squid was the craziest thing. But what was really interesting was as they were driving home, there was a rainstorm, a flash rainstorm, and it just rained baby squids. Like I'm watching it and like you hear the alarm, like the air horn, the air siren going off, and they pull over and I'm like people pull out umbrellas and I'm like, the hell? And you see clouds forming and I'm just sitting there going like, is it gonna rain squids? And then it rains squids. No explanation, right? This world is meant to be like we've lived in it. So, obviously some things are going to happen that don't make a fair amount of sense. That is clearly one of them. That was the craziest thing. But what I thought was really cool was when they raided the farmhouse, the cattle ranch, there was Don Johnson and another vigilante, and they were in what I thought was a van. And it turns out they're in like a model version of the Archimedes Night Owl ship from the graphic novel in the movie. It's not Archimedes. You see it in the trailer, it crashes, but like that was so cool. I legitimately went like, it's Archimedes. Like I was excited that that was happening. And then I'm like, oh, it's not Archimedes. You tricked me, sir. But I really enjoyed what they did with it. So that was pretty cool. Again, like I feel like the costumes were kind of in line. I mean, maybe like not film quality from Zack Snyder, but they were definitely good. I like the music. I like the direction. And I really want to see where the rest of the series goes because it's setting up a mystery and one that we just have to wait a week to find out more about. So whether or not, Don Johnson, if he's a member of the 7th Cavalry or not, I actually happen to think that he is. Because there was one shot when he was getting dressed and ready to leave where it passed by his mirror, and you see like a framed photo of him and somebody else when he was a boy, and it looked like it made you think that it's going to be something that he's got like white supremacist roots or something. But Don Johnson really brought it in the episode. Like you think, oh, he's a good guy, and then here he dies right at the very end. So that is essentially the episode. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to see what happens next week. And of course, if you guys did see it, I totally want to hear your thoughts and your opinions and your theories. What's going to happen with this? Is it going to be a worthy successor to Watchmen, or is it just one of those cash grab TV shows that HBO put on because, quite frankly, it's got nothing else going for it now since Game of Thrones is over? Definitely let me know.